Hello everybody, I'm Richard from RSEV and I'm off on a bit of a road trip. So as ever, let me take you along real world life, real world with a modern electric vehicle. What do we get for efficiency, range, charging experiences, charging time and all that kind of business. I've done loads of videos before with the Tesla Model 3 Performance, love them, brilliant cars. And had many miles in them, road, track, family, camping, everything, and they've always been brilliant. I was one of the very first to get one in the UK back in June 2019, and I've usually had one on myself or in the company ever since, and always been a big fan. However, I haven't actually spent that much time on one of the very latest versions, which is what I'm driving now. So hence this video. They've changed over the years. We've had different batteries, different wheels, different things that affect efficiency, non-heat pumps, heat pumps. So we've seen them change over the years, and what we've got in the little latest from 2022 into now 2023 is a 79 kilowatt hour gross battery pack. We believe, Tesla never tell you this stuff, but this is what we seem to have, the same as the Tesla Model Ys in the UK. Before these, so in say 2021 for example, we had the 82 kilowatt hour pack cars for the performance versions. Before that it was the 75 kilowatt hour pack cars, and they didn't have a heat pump and they had different wheels, so they were less efficient. However, this is the 79 with the Uber turbines, with the Pirelli tyres. One of the last Model 3s as you can buy at the moment. There'll always be new versions coming, but this is a fairly late 2022 car, I think it's September 22. So the same as I think we have still in 2023, and let's see what we get. So doing a bit of a journey for a couple of days, and so no real planning. All I've got so far is I'm going from the south coast here on a fairly gloomy, chilly Wednesday afternoon, and I'm heading to Huntington today, so it's about a 150-mile trip. And then I'm going up into Lincolnshire tomorrow, doing some other filming with the Car Wow crew, some stuff there, then heading back home. So I've probably got about a 500-mile, roughly speaking, round trip in this car for the next couple of days. So there'd be some charging and all that kind of stuff. So the plan at the moment is I left with 74% battery from our warehouse in New Milton. Stone cold battery, car hasn't been driven for a couple of days, didn't preheat it, just got in it, started it and drove off. So kind of worst case scenario. It's come up to 13 degrees Celsius, pretty overcast, it's not raining, it is dry, and there's not too much wind, bit of a breeze, but nothing too tragic. And I've reset trips, so let's see what we got. I left with 74%, trip reset. Let's do the first bit of the journey here, and I'll talk to you a bit later on once we sort of stop, do some charging and all that kind of stuff, see where we go. I don't think it's a case of charging takes hours and hours and all the usual. You can't use electric cars if you're doing long journeys. I've done so many videos, I do lots of mileage all around the country, most weeks, in different electric cars. That's what our channel's all about. So if you're not a subscriber, make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell icon for notifications, you'll see all our new videos. And most of them are typically just real world range tests, you know, different cars, using them in part of daily life, wet, windy, no test conditions, just real world life with these electric vehicles, and it's nearly always marvellous. So make sure you're subscribed so you see more videos in the future as well. Okay, let me explain and show you something about routing, and sometimes how using a bit of thought you can do better than what even a Tesla in its excellent route planning can predict. So I'm going to navigate here to my location up in Huntington, up here, and the car will automatically look for chargers. Now it's not that far away, but of course I didn't leave with a full battery, I just got in the car and went. So as I'm just going past Southampton now, 59%, it wants me to stop at Heathrow Chargers and stop there to charge up, and it's preconditioned the battery already now to be warm when we get there, so that it's going to charge faster. But that's going to use energy to preheat the battery because I left with a cold battery and it's a fairly chilly day. However, let me end that trip. I disagree with that planning. I'm going to now, if I go back to my navigation here, I can see actually if I bring this up, there's a supercharger. Look, right near my destination. There it is. And I'm going to add that to my journey. Now is saying I now need to charge a fleet to go to the destination. No, let's not do that. Right, let's just go back to our chargers. Now I will admit this is where having autopilot's quite useful, because here we can keep an eye on the road whilst I am looking at the screen. which, you know, at the end of the day, people use climate control and radios, so, but the car is sort of driving and keeping an eye on everything as I monitor as well. Anyway, this is those chargers. Now, what if I navigate straight there? And that's right near where my stopping destination for the night is tonight. Now, I can drive straight there now. It's 123 miles, and I should arrive at about 8% battery. So you can see there that I can just get straight there in one go. And it doesn't need to preheat the battery for fast charging, because by the time I've got there, it probably would have warmed the battery up with all the driving I've just done. Maybe it will preheat right at the end. But also, because I'm going to get there with 8%, a lower state of charge, the battery will charge faster. So my charging time will be less. It's a much more common sense approach. And the reason the car didn't do that initially is because sorry, I had to concentrate on changing lane there. The reason the car didn't do that originally was because it always wants to allow a buffer. Getting there with 8% will make some people a bit nervous. I'm not nervous at all. 8% is still a healthy buffer. There's still plenty more miles in that. If I'm here somewhere and there's a diversion, a road works, I've still got plenty of miles spare, and there's always other chargers around anyway. But there's plenty of spare buffer for me in my comfort zone for sure. And it just makes all the sense in the world. But the car will obviously allow more buffering. You can keep an eye on this percentage as you're driving along. Now, if it's going down 7, 6, 5, 4, then I'm either driving very efficiently and speeding along, and maybe I've got to think about either stopping for a charge or slowing down. However, it's normally very accurate. It even uses the weather and the wind direction to know what this percentage is going to be at arrival. If I drive quite sensibly and calmly, and typically, like for example now, I'm in roadworks, the speed limit is 50 miles an hour, this is efficient driving, I'll probably be more efficient than the car's been predicting. So I bet this goes up to 9, 10, 11%, for example. It normally is very accurate. So let's see. This is what I'm going to do. It's 8% now, arrival estimate. I bet I get there with probably at least 11, 12%, something like that. That's just my prediction. But we'll see. These are normally actually quite accurate now. And look, I am going to drive to the speed limit. I'm not going to drive along at 50, 60 miles an hour. I'm going to go to the speed limit. Once I get out of these roadworks, it'll be 70 miles an hour all the way. It's dry, it's really good conditions, but it's a bit chilly. It's come up to 14 degrees Celsius now, but and then we'll see what we get for efficiency and pro rata range and all that sort of stuff. But you can see, even although the Tesla's excellent, if you kind of sometimes just check it or use a bit of common sense, and certainly some experience helps, and hopefully these videos give you some of that kind of experience and my sort of sharing my thoughts of how I make the best of my travelling around the UK. It's very easy, I do lots of it. And you can see that you can even improve on the very excellent Tesla system. The Tesla system is, if I'm honest, far better than any other electric car planning strategy out there. The Tesla do this great, and it gives real confidence, especially to first-time EV owners. Here we are, Roy Boston chargers with 15%. You can see plenty. So let's plug in and we'll see what we get for charging speed at 15%. There has been some battery preheating. Before that, we'll have a look at the efficiency and how the energy was used on that trip. There we are. And I can see there's 7 available chargers here, even at 4:40 in the afternoon, not too bad. So this is quite cool on a Tesla now, you get this trip information. So let me just bring this over, I'll show you more closely. We get this information here now to show on that journey, since we entered this destination, we've arrived at 15.4% to be precise. So this was, I reset the trip when I was parked at the motorway, so since I left. But of the last section of journey I've done there, you can see what percentage was used. So 29.4% for driving, climate 1.1%, battery conditioning for this charging. So it warms the battery up for faster charging. Actually cost over 3%. Gained half a percent because of elevation, and everything else 1.4%. So that'd be things like just running the processor, which I'm pretty sure this car here has got the Ryzen processor on it. So since this is trip A, since I actually left the office, 164 miles, averaging 261 watt hours per mile. So it's pretty efficient, a bit under 4 miles per kilowatt hour. And that's not bad at all. Now, it is less efficient than just a long range. So that's probably partly due to the bigger wheels, but this is a performance car, and I think just the rear motor is more powerful. It just is inherently less efficient, maybe a bit of both. If this was our model 2021 heat pump Model 3 long range with aero wheels, okay, it's not quite as quick, but you know, it's a similar car. We normally get on a journey like that, it was a fairly efficient run really, so a bit chilly, but it was so much roadworks, 56 miles per hour sections, quite a lot of traffic. We would have got about 225 watt-hours per mile on that trip, to maybe 230, whereas this did 260. So that's kind of the difference between the performance and the long range. Now, I think when I left the office, if I remember correctly, I had 74%. I've now got 15%. So I used 59% to do 164 miles, which means that means 164 divided by 54%. That means a total range 100% to 0, 300 miles with this car. Not bad at all, is it? Not bad at all. And when I'd covered 100 miles, it said I'd use 25 kilowatt hours of energy. So if we have 79 kilowatt hour pack, about 75-ish usable, 300 miles, kind of comes to the same kind of figure, doesn't it? Not too bad at all. Right, let's plug it in and we'll see what charging speed we get at 15%. Will it go to 250? It is 250 kilowatt V3 chargers. Will we get it? Let's have a look. Let's go and plug it in quickly. 186 kilowatts charging speed, 207 kilowatt charging speed, 228 kilowatts charging speed, 229, 226, 219, 221, 222. Over 200 is incredibly fast charging speed. So we're not going quite to 250. It's hovering around 215 at the moment, but that is quick charging speed. So you can see how this is going up now, 15, 16, 17%. And I will do quite a deep charge here. So let's note the time, 4:45 p.m. Because of what I'm doing tomorrow, I will charge this to a solid 90%, might even go slightly over that. So now at 18%, 204 kilowatts. So we haven't seen quite a 250 peak, but it probably, if it was lower battery, like 10%, we probably would have done. And now we seem to be ramping down just under 200 kilowatts at 19%. So fit that. So since we've plugged it in, that's 15% to 20% straight away. It's all right, isn't it? Not bad at all. So it's estimating 40 minutes to go fully to 90%. Now, we're going to remember when you talk about charge time, like most of the time, you don't really need to go all the way back up in the battery. You just need to charge enough to get to where you're going, basically. So if you're going home and you just need an extra 50 miles, it really is just a few minutes top up. I'm going to do a deeper charge on this purely because we're going to be doing some filming with Carwow tomorrow on a runway, and so I want quite a big healthy charge of battery when I'm there. The battery's warm and I've got plenty of emails and such like to do anyway, so I've got to get on do some stuff because I've been in the car for the last 3 hours, so I do have plenty to do. So I'll do that, but just keep an eye on the charging speed here. 23%, 188 kilowatts. So we're nearly at 25% already, and that's been what, 444 when I first plugged it in. 3 minutes, it's added 10%. Not bad at all. So about 30 miles in 4 minutes. If we go 10%, 300 miles, you know. There we go, 25%. 3 minutes. 30 miles in 3 minutes. Not bad at all, is it? Okay, time to do some of my emails. So we've been 7 minutes, 36%. It's slowed down. That's 143 kilowatts. You see how it's ramped down? Charging does vary, and actually what Tesla do now is if you click on the charging location, it tells you the cost of charging. Now this location's 40 pence per kilowatt hour, except between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. is 50 pence, which is what zone I'm in now. So it could be cheaper if I was at a different time of day. But when it comes down to 40 pence per kilowatt hour, that's only a little bit more than the highest domestic price. The highest domestic charge is 34 pence per kilowatt hour. So we got 40% battery now already in 7 minutes. Not bad, is it? And to drive up to here, this charged off of the solar at work, so that didn't cost me anything. Here for 15 minutes, and I'm now at 56% battery. So now for 30 minutes exactly, and I'm on 79% of the battery. Just ticked on to 80%, there you go. So 30 minutes to go from 15% to 80% on V3 superchargers. £28 to do this kind of journey. But remember, you've got to remember most of the time, you would be charging from home where it's cheaper. And in our case, we've got the solar at work, and there's some great videos coming about that. It's been great now. We got to April, longer days. We're basically off grid. This car to come here has cost nothing. It's been powered by the sun, purely off the roof of our building, as are most of our cars now. So it's fantastic. Doesn't cost us a thing to charge this car up. I know there's some initial cost to buying solar and such like, but that added value to the building, so I don't really count it to really much of a cost. And now we're driving electric cars, high performance cars, for free. So it's morning of the next day, chilly up here, and I'm doing some filming with Carwow crew. There's some really cool stuff coming up. So Model S plaid, Model X plaid. They've even got over there somewhere Lucid. But I can't show you anything that's happening this morning because it's for Carwow. So if you're not subscribed to the Carwow channel, head over to there, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and then you'll see some videos with some testers coming out soon. Once I head off from here, then I'll give you an update for my return journey, and we'll carry on how we're getting on with the Model 3 performance for this trip. Okay, that's my filming with Carwow done for the day. Some great videos coming up, so make sure you are subscribed on their channel as well if you want to see some tester drag racing. As ever, always good fun. Always think about things you might have been able to do slightly better, get a slightly better start, but it always has to play to that advantage, I think. So there's some good videos coming now, so check them out soon. In the meantime, time for me to head home now. It is 2:45 in the afternoon, leaving with 74% battery, 185 miles to go. If I just put that in the nav, it prompts me to stop at Y Boston Supercharger, which isn't really that far down the road. But I'm not going to do that. Again, remove charging stops. It says driving straight back, I would get back with 4% battery. So that's all right, that's enough. Again, a little bit of buffer there. And then it'll probably go up. So I'll just remove charging stops and I'll just see how I go. If I do need to stop and charge, I'll do it later on when the battery is lower, so this will charge faster. But I'll probably just go back in one go. If you don't need to use the chargers, then don't. Simple as that. Keeps them free for other people to use them. And it's cheaper to charge at home than it is if you pay to use the superchargers. So I'll get the journey going, see how I go. The car's prompting me to stay below 65, but like I said, just get going, see how it settles down, see how the consumption goes. So I've stopped off here at Winchester Service Centre and the Supercharger. Slight change of plan. I could have got home with 8% remaining. I don't need to be stopped, but my plans have changed. I'm going to move on and I won't get back till it's going to be dark, and there's loads of spaces available at the chargers here, so I'm not obstructing anybody. And thank you through the Tesla referral scheme and those that have used it. I've actually got some free supercharging credits, so I'm going to use some of them. That's okay. So let me just explain then. We've got some figures to go through again with real world driving scenarios, range, efficiency, and it was wet, windy and horrible drive back, so that was pretty horrible. I've just done, by the way, I could do with just getting out the car for a bit as well, 3 hours 21 minutes to just do 144 miles there. So I've been in the car for 3 hours 21 minutes. It would do me no harm at all just to get out in a minute and have a break. So on that trip, I averaged 273 watt hours per mile. So I put some calculations down by about 3.6, 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour, which for those conditions, I don't think it's too bad at all. It was pretty horrible, and it does have an impact. You can see that was less efficient than the journey up, which was drier, nicer conditions. Now, I left with 74% battery, arrived here with 20%. I'm charging now, arrived here with 20%. I didn't do any preconditioning for this location, by the way, because that would have used extra energy, so that's not distorting the figures. So I used 54% of the battery to do 144 miles on that leg. Pro rata that out would give this car 100% to zero range at that efficiency for that battery use of about 267 miles of range. So before and efficient, we were near like 300-ish. So you can see bad conditions to 60-ish miles of range. I used 39 kilowatt hours according to this display here for 54% battery. So again, if we do some pro rata to 100%, that would give us about 73 kilowatt hours usable capacity. So something like that, which sounds not too unreasonable. And then you've got buffers as well, but you know, kind of 100% to 0 kilowatt hours you can use. I don't think too bad. Now the whole trip is 373 miles since I left the office. We actually charged yesterday. In fact, if I'd have booked a hotel with a charger, then I wouldn't have needed a charge yesterday. But again, just because of logistics and what we were doing, that wasn't what happened. But I would normally book hotels with chargers, and I wouldn't have needed to public charge at all for a 400-mile round trip in just over 24 hours. But anyway, now my average for the whole trip is 285 watt hours per mile. And the reason that's higher than this bit is because that includes this morning go up and down the runway with Carwell, and you're going flat out, and you lose much more energy doing that, of course. So that as an average still, I think is pretty good. Yeah, quite reasonable indeed. So it is phenomenal. Model 3 performance, what a brilliant car. It's again a privilege today to be able to put it on a runway and see what it can really do, because it's just phenomenal. It takes some serious combustion engine machinery to do the performance these cars have. Or heavily modified cars. Well, there's some heavily modified, and I can't again say too much, but you get modified vehicles that you go to do drag race runs and they break, they have to be fixed, and they go back again, and these just do it every time straightforward. They just launch every time straightforward. You don't feel like you're burning the clutch, you don't feel like it's any issue. You do all that and you come off and drive back down the motorway, absolutely fine. And the performance and what these things can do is incredible. I've driven these on track days before and other cars, and again, phenomenal things. It can do those sustained runs, the cooling, everything. Like, it's just a phenomenal car, it really is. So Model 3 performance, massive thumbs up. By the way, I didn't precondition here. It did charge a little bit slow, but it's still putting like 175 kilowatts at like 25%. So it's still charging really quickly, even though I didn't precondition it. 53%, still putting over 100 kilowatts. So no doubt preconditioning for charging helps with the charge speed, but you do use energy to do that. So I don't think it makes vast amounts of differences at the end of the day. So I'm going to exit, have a quick break, and then I'm going to head off anyway. So I hope that's been interesting, useful. Again, bit of a make it up as I go vlog video, but I hope that's okay. And look forward to seeing you on another one very soon. So make sure you're subscribed with the bell icon ticked. See you then.